their bit for a cleaner, greener future. So you can sign up by sending a short text message to this phone number. If you put your name, and then you don't need to put the comma, just your name and then a space, and then your email address, then we'll send you a notification to invite you to come and join Eco Heroes. So I'll leave that up there. I'd like to just wrap up by reading a little bit from my book, a short piece, because I've been talking quite a while already, and then if you've got any questions, I would be very, very happy to answer those. So, is it still there? This is actually special for me because I've never before read from my book out loud in public. We did the book tour last year, but I saw people preferred a live presentation. But I've decided to inflict a bit of my book on you. This is from the epilogue, so this is kind of looking back over the fairly brutal experience that I had on the Atlantic and making sense of it all and deciding what I want to do in the future. And I wrote this the book came out a year ago, and I probably wrote this about a year before. But reading it earlier this evening, I was like, wow, she was pretty smart. What happened to her? Despite what I have achieved, I don't for a moment think I'm any braver or better than anybody else. This is how I attempt to explain what gives me the strength to do what I do. When that thunderbolt of an idea first hit me and inspired me to row across oceans, it filled me with a sense of purpose so strong that it overcame my fears. Even when boredom, frustration, fatigue or despair threatened to overwhelm me, it was that powerful sense of purpose that kept me going. But I'm still very human and I struggle with life the same as anybody else. I still find myself fighting pointlessly against things that cannot be changed. I still run into difficulties in relationships, get angry and frustrated, beat myself up excessively over my shortcomings, and face disappointments and setbacks. But that's how it goes. And the good news is that although I still occasionally spiral into despair, I'm getting better at recognising the symptoms. So gradually I'm reducing the amount of time that elapses between getting caught in the whirlpool of negativity and breaking free from the vortex. I've learned to be kinder to myself, to imagine that I'm my own best friend, whispering comforting words in my ear and drowning out the voices of self-doubt and self-criticism. I've learned to accept that, in the present moment at least, things are exactly as they're meant to be. And although I cannot control the future any more than I can control the wind and the weather, I can manage it and influence it in a positive way. I've learned not to take things personally, well, mostly. Just as I eventually realised that the ocean was not being deliberately spiteful in order to punish me. It was just doing what oceans do according to the laws of physics. So just the same, if people criticise me or judge me, it's not really about me, it's about them. They're acting according to the laws of their own personal physics, created by a life history of conditioned hopes, fears and emotional triggers, which have nothing to do with me. I've learned a lot, although sometimes I feel I've acquired just enough wisdom to know how much more there is to be learned. If my ego is ever in danger of running out of control, I only have to remember the feelings of complete helplessness I experienced at times on the ocean, and that cuts me back down to size. Compared with the awesome might and power of the ocean, no human being can fail to be aware of their own insignificance. If I ever stop challenging myself, then I'm getting lazy and comfortable, and I'm no longer growing. I hope to use life's challenges as stepping stones to ever greater things. I doubt if my challenges will always be quite so extreme, but I intend to keep working towards an obituary of which I could be justifiably proud. To aspire, achieve and advance, always striving to be better tomorrow than I am today. This is my chosen path, and although it may not be an easy one, I cannot now live in any other way. Since that moment several years ago when I sat at the dining table contemplating the alternative futures written on two sheets of paper in front of me, I knew that my life was going to change. The thrill of excitement that I felt while I imagined my perfect future told me that I was onto something, and this was the direction I should be heading. Then through trial and error and process of elimination, it Eventually I stumbled across a path that would take me there. No doubt there are other paths I could have taken, and in the future I may come to a fork and choose to explore a different route, but the ultimate goal remains the same: to live the authentic life that I was born to live. Since I started down this track, it has become a brave new experiment as I pursue my sense of curiosity and adventure. Every day brings surprises, some welcome, occasionally not so welcome, but each one a valuable learning experience. When I look back to that sad and desperate woman who shut away the two contrasting versions of her obituary in a desk drawer, too timid to contemplate where it might lead, I can't help but wonder at how far I've come. It's been a long and winding route, but with remarkably few moments of real terror. A couple of times there was no option but to take a huge and sudden leap into the unknown, leaving my husband, setting out across the Atlantic. But mostly this transformation has happened, much like my Atlantic crossing, through the accumulation of many tiny actions, barely significant in themselves, but adding up to a total turnaround in almost every aspect of my life. Starting is always the hardest part, when the whole task lies ahead of me, and the distance between me and my objective seems as wide as the Atlantic Ocean. But now I know that once I get started, momentum will gradually build. Who knows, in the ultimate reckoning, if my life will be deemed a success. Success or failure, that doesn't matter to me so much. What does matter is that I live every day, knowing where I'm going, and that my daily actions are taking me a little closer to that goal. To live a fulfilling life is an endurance event, and the only way to get to the finish line is to focus on the present, checking from moment to moment that I'm still heading in the right direction. The Atlantic taught me that no matter how huge and seemingly impossible the task, anybody can achieve extraordinary things by simply taking it one stroke at a time. I recently heard a wonderful metaphor for the spiritual quest. It goes like this: when you stand at the bottom of the mountain and look at the mountaintop, the path looks hard and stony, and the top is obscured by clouds. But when you reach the top and you look down, you realise that there are 1,000 paths that could have brought you to that place. For we're all on a great adventure, the adventure of life. And even for the majority who will never row across an ocean, or climb a great peak, or trek to a pole, or cycle across the States, there is much to be learned from living life with mindfulness and awareness. I chose ocean rowing because it was the best fit with the values and priorities I held at that point in my life. But parenthood, business, study, friendships, public service, meditation, and life in general can also teach us about what is important and what is not. My goal in life is to be happy, healthy, and wise. And ultimately, isn't that what we all want? Thank you very much indeed.
This is a fundraising tour that Roz is on right now. She is raising money to row across the Indian Ocean. Tomorrow night at my shop, we're doing a dinner. We have a couple of spaces left if you want to come. It's $60, 50 of, well, 10 of which will go directly to her. I'll also be asking people to contribute more if they feel like it to that. So this evening, if you feel like it, how do people contribute? Do they write a check to you?